The Entertainer on page 49 of the piano manual. Look at the time signature. You see 4/4, 4 beats per measure, a quarter note gets 1 beat. Let's look at the left hand rhythms, all half notes. Let's tap the half notes of the first phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the right hand rhythm starts on beat 4. Let's clap the first phrase starting on beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now I took the ties out, as you can hear. Now let's put those ties back in, the right hand clapping. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now let's do hands together without any ties. Hands together tapping on your lap. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now let's put the ties back in. Hands together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and. Next, look at the key signature. You don't see any sharps, you don't see any flats, so you're in the key of C. Let's warm up our left hand with the C major chord progression, and you can find that on page 44 of the manual. Flip back if you need to look at it. Here we go. Left hand, C3, blocked. 1, 2, block. 2. Slide your fifth finger to B. Broken. Waltz, 2, 3. Alberti, 2, 3. Let's look at the first phrase, measures 1, 2, 3, and 4. Starting with the left hand, analyze your chords. Measure 1 has your C chords. Measure 2 has C chords. Measure 3 starts with a C chord, but then you go to your G7, your 5-7, and then back to a C chord. Let's play the left hand. First phrase, 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch to a 5-7, back to C. Now let's analyze the right hand. Notice the first three notes, D, D sharp, and E, are all half steps. D, D sharp, and E. Fingers, 1, 2, 1. Half steps again, D, D sharp, E. Finger numbers, 1, 2, 1. Next, you see an interval of a sixth, E to C, and you see it a second time, and a third time. Moving on to the second measure, after all those tied C's, then you have to move up to a C position at C5. C position, and you'll see, you play your C, and then you have another D, D sharp, E. Half steps, D to a D sharp to an E. But now the fingers will be 2, 3, 4. Half steps, fingers 2, 3, 4. Let's add the C to that. With a C again. Next, we're going to have the C, D, E without a D sharp. Second finger on C, C, D, E, 2, 3, 4. C, D, E, 2, 3, 4. Still in the third measure, we end with an interval of a third, B, D, interval of a third. And then a dotted half note on C. So let's start from the interval of a third in measure 3 and to a C. Now let's start on the C in measure 3, that eighth note. Here comes the third, back to C. Measure 3 again from C. Now let's start back on measure 2, but the thumb is on C. Here comes the half steps. Now thumb, second finger on C, third, back to measure 2, thumb on C. Second finger on C. Now from the very beginning, starting with the half steps, D, D sharp, E. 6. Move to a C position, C5. Second finger on C. One more time from the beginning. Half steps, D, D sharp, E. 1 and 2 and 3 and. One and 2 and 3. Let's add the left hand, hands together. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Switch the left hand. Again from the beginning. 1 and 2 and 3 and. to the second phrase. Let's analyze the left hand, measures 5 through 8. We start with a C chord, but then we have to slide to a D major chord. You see that F sharp? So here we have our C chord in measure 5 and 6. Slide to D and get that F sharp, so it's D major. Twice. And then the last measure, we have to go back to the G7 and then end with the C. Left hand, measure 5 to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide to D major. 5, 7. Back to C. Let's do it again. Measure 5, 2, 3, 4. Slide to D major. And now let's analyze the right hand. Measure 5 with the pickup notes looks just like the beginning. But then in measure 6, we don't need to go up to high C, up to a C5. We're going to stay on an E position, walk down 3 notes. In our E position, A, G, F sharp. This is measure 6 going into measure 7. From the E position, let's go to the A minor position in measure 7. You see an A minor triad. A minor triad. And then walk down. Oh, here's a skip. Up a 4th and step down. Measure 7, A minor. Step down. Skip. Up a 4th and step down to C. Let's do all of phrase number 2, starting with the pickup D at the end of measure 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and. E position. A minor. Again, right hand. Pick up notes into measure 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and. A minor. Hands together. We're going to start with measure 8 at the end. A minor in the right hand, 5, 7 in the left. 3, 4. C chord. Let's do measure 8 again. And. Now measure 7 hands together. Left hand D major, right hand A minor. Ready? And. Let's try it again. Starting with the D chord, measure 7. And. Now let's play that 1 F sharp at the beginning of measure 7 and then go into A minor. And. Okay, now let's add measures 7 and 8. Ready? And. Again, 7 and 8. And. Now let's start with the pickup notes into measure 7 from your E position. Walk down A minor. Again, pick up into measure 7, D major in the left hand, E position in the right. Ready, and. Okay, let's go back now to the pickup into measure 5, starting with the half step D. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Same thing again, pick up into measure 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and. All the way from the beginning to the end of the entertainer. 1 and 2 and 3 and.